Hello everyone, it is time for BS Radar, hashtag BS Radar. Today I've got Jordana Zeldin from Spring Training out of New York. G'day Jordana, how are you today?
Good, how are you, Russ?
Doing really well, thank you, really well. For those that haven't tuned in before, BS Radar is where I tap founders and leaders on the shoulder. And I just want to get that one hot tip of when they're sitting in a job interview, how they can sniff out the BS from a candidate. What have you got for us today, Jordana?
So my tip would be to have your candidates do the job as part of the interview.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is that we talk a lot in sales about the importance of kind of soft skills, right? Like, empathy or humility, vulnerability, coachability, all these things. And that can be, all of those things can be really hard to tease out from like your typical interview Q&A. And I am not a hiring manager. I have not hired sales teams before, but I have been a part of teams that have taken this approach and the impact was incredible. So super tactically, this is what it is.
Yep.
So, in the case of hiring, for example, like an AE, so what you want to do as part of the interview process is set them up to conduct a discovery call or conduct a pitch, right? And what you want to do is give them as much information as they need to succeed. So this is, of course, not actually about like how perfectly they deliver the pitch. It's testing for a lot of these softer skills, and I'll talk about that in a second. But it's like, give them the need to know product specs, like give them the kinds of areas or like problems that the product itself typically kind of solves. Give them maybe a framework of what you're expecting. Maybe you're expecting an agenda or some pleasantries, or maybe you're expecting a discovery section followed by a short pitch, whatever it is. So the idea is to really like, not just leave them high and dry, but really give them the information that they need to kind of do a good job. But how they do is almost irrelevant, because what you're really testing for is like gameness, like how willing are they to do this? And some candidates aren't going to do it. And it's like, awesome. If they're not going to do it, they're not the candidate for you, right?
Yep.
And then there's like, how open are they to being vulnerable and to failing? Because inevitably it's not going to be perfect, right? How humble are they? How open to kind of taking risks and just trying stuff are they? And then finally, the last piece is once they've finished actually kind of doing the job, ask them, so, are you open to feedback, or do you just want to move on?
Yep.
That's another moment, because if they say yes, you've got someone who might be coachable. If they say no, I'd say that's probably a deal breaker.
Yep.
And then if they say yes, and I was talking with Brian Whittington about this a couple weeks ago on his podcast, and this was his suggestion. If they say yes, actually give them feedback and then have them make a small change based on your feedback. See if they actually can like adapt. And that's your coachability piece.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. That's so good, Jordana. I think because it is often a challenge, because as you say, like salespeople, it's soft skills you're hiring for. And quite often, if it's some kind of, on the tools type job where it's creative or they're doing something technical, you can put a laptop in front of them and have them actually action it, get them on the tools. But what you're basically saying is we can do that as well in sales. Get them on the tools, give them a bit of information to work with, and then watch them go to work. I love the coachability piece at the end too. So,
and see how hard they try. Like there's a lot, I think, in sales to be said for like making a really good effort. And then if like they fall flat on their face, as many of them inevitably will, like see how they handle that. I think you get so much information about how they're going to be as a teammate in real time.
100%. I reckon you get more just from the energy and the effort and the prep they put into it than whether they can close you or not. Like it's more just about the activity, the energy they bring to it.
Do they have a sense of humor? That's going to come out too. Yeah.
Excellent, Jordana. Great tip. Love it. Thanks so much for being on BS Radar. If anyone's got any comments, or if you've had that happen to you before in an interview, love to hear it. Pop some comments down below. If you're not following Jordana already, get on and follow her at Spring Training. Thanks, Jordana.
Thanks, Russ.
See you.